Hi, this is Eddie Deezen. You're listening to Breaking the Fourth Wall. I was Mandark in Dexter's Laboratory. Ha 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 ha.
You are listening to Breaking the Fourth Wall on Realm of the Mist Entertainment.
Come on. Give me the counts. There we go. Hey, what's up, guys? Christopher Stolle back with another Breaking the Fourth Wall. And it's not often I get to do this, but I get to have a return guest. This gentleman has been with us before. We had a nice long conversation about Westerns, and we're going to get more into Westerns now. He is the, I believe, director and writer, as well as one of the stars of the upcoming movie Showdown at the Brazos.
Yes, sir.
As well as many other Westerns. Mr. Bill Foster. Bill, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm glad to be back. Thank you for having me again.
It's a pleasure because as I believe I told you in the last episode that you were on, I truly believe that the Western, the spaghetti Western, the big epic Western like Tombstone or Wyatt Earp, all of those I think are just as much the American folklore, just the Wild West itself was the American folklore. And goes down the same annals as like Greece's beliefs in their gods, the Greek mythologies, or like for example, although this is a fictional character, people like even King Arthur to the English.
Yeah. The Western is America. That's ours. We can claim it. Nobody else can claim the Western but us. And it's actually based in real history. And then we expand upon it, and we won't let it die. I mean, we just keep adding, having stories and adventures and everything else through the words that we write, and then we bring them to life. And that's in itself is amazing to see when you're able to write something and then you see it coming to life. And we were almost through filming. I mean, we set this up so we could be talking about how we just wrapped Sunday and be done with it. But we got shut down due to COVID, and I think I actually caught it last week and about ready to kick it now. But so I guess it all worked out. So in Texas, we can't have over 10 people in a group, and everybody has to wear a mask. And
Right.
Our scenes were going to be over 100 people with crew and actors and everybody there. So there was no way. There'd be cars parked all up and down the street where we're filming. Somebody is going to come along and say, this is a little bit bigger than 10 people. So,
Right.
And, it's amazing. There's all those experts out there. I do air quotes, that, you could have filmed, you could have done this. No, of course, we've got lawyers. And when they say you don't need to film, I say King's X, we're done. We're through filming until they say we can. So that's why we pay them.
But that's it. I know there's people out there that don't believe in the COVID crisis being as bad as it's made out to be in the media, and so on and so forth. And I'm not going to argue the point one way or another. I'm a person. I don't think it's as bad of an epidemic as it's made out to be in the media. I think there's a lot of fear mongering going on there. However, I'm still a person that puts on the mask when I go in the store.
Yeah, I do. I wear it all the time. Did before I caught this, and like I said, I can't say positive because I just got tested today on a quick test. It's negative. Of course, there's like 60%. They don't know if they're even working 60% of the time. Who knows? But yeah, the media's playing it up. When I was in school business, we would have viruses go through, flus go through. We'd have to shut school down sometimes when we'd have 40% of our kids gone with the flu or a virus, and so we'd shut school down for that. I've never seen anything like this before in my life. I'm only 58 years old, but whatever I had, I couldn't function for since July 1. So 10 days, 12 days now, I'm just now getting back to where I can function last 2 or 3 days. And in fact, I was telling you off there, I'm working on a video right now doing some special effects. Up till today, I hadn't even opened my computer. I couldn't even do that. So once you get it, isolate yourself, whatever it is. Yeah, but it is. I lost my dad and stepmother in December, both pneumonia. air quotes again, pneumonia. How do we know it wasn't COVID back then? We don't. They were 80. My dad was 87, and stepmother was 85, so both in nursing home. Who knows? I mean, they had so many underlying conditions, but anybody can take anything nowadays and twist it to where we don't even know what the truth is anymore. But the truth is, the Western is America.
That's it. The Western is American. Now, you said the COVID thing unfortunately did shut down your shooting. I imagine you were doing the rap, like you said, the rap shooting. Do you have any idea of when you'll be able to get back on studio to get this done?
No word as of yet. We're still just 10 in a group, and so we're fixing to be into August. It's 104 today. So,
Lord.
yeah. So I've already told some of my crew that don't expect anything till at least September, when it starts cooling down into the 90s, maybe even October. Because some of the scenes that we're shooting is outside,
right?
And so they're going to be dressed in dusters and layers, like makes it look. I really don't believe they dress like that all the time back then, but it sure does look good on camera,
right?
And we don't need anybody falling out due to heat exhaustion, and so we're going to play it smart. Whenever we film, you've got to take in the health consideration of everybody. And so we plan, let's do our outside early. During the heat of the day, we go inside, film inside. And then at the end of the day, we go outside and film our outside. But I've been on sets, Fear of the Walking Dead. Temperature made no difference. Whether it was 35 degrees, cold north wind blowing, we're out there in our skivvies, costume things, or I've been out there with the mask on in the middle of the field and it's 102. So, when you're really in the movies, when you're watching the movie, you don't know what temperature it is when they're filming. You look at it, it's 75 degrees in Hollywood. It's so pretty there. No, it may have been 105 or it may have been 35. We don't know. But acting warm is very difficult.
I just did an interview a couple episodes ago with one of the extras from the 1975 Jaws, and
cool.
Talking about the scene where the shark shows up in the lagoon. I'm sure you're familiar with Jaws. Everybody knows Jaws. And when the Kittner boy gets killed, and
Right.
everything comes running out of the water, and he was one of the little boys that ran out of the water, and he was telling me it's like they were shooting it in April, like them kids freezing.
Yeah.
So you're right. You never know in film. It could be set up to look like it's summertime, and it's the middle of December. So.
What I always told my employees, I've had up to 140 employees at one time, and then movies. I'm not going to make them do anything that I wouldn't do personally. So if I'm not going to get in that water and it's too cold, I'm not going to make them get in the water when it's too cold. Vice versa, or hot or whatever.
Right.
But excuse me, I get a drink. But yeah, that you never know.
Well, the question is, like you said, like you mentioned with like The Walking Dead. The only time I would imagine like the elements might get involved, and this came to my mind because you mentioned The Walking Dead. I imagine for the actors, even though it's hot or cold or whatever, you can work around it. But I would imagine it messes with like some of the prop scenery or makeup. Like if it's 104, I would imagine the zombies' makeup are just melting.
Yes, it does. And what was worse is I was what they call a mask walker. So I had this silicone, like a bread sack, you pull down over your face and you're breathing out of a hole about the size of a dime. It's not even a dime size. It's little bitty, and trying to look out a little bitty hole to see where you're walking. And one of the assistant directors, he after a shoot one day, he called us in and he said, I want to see what it's like to be a walker. So he said, I put the mask on and immediately called for medics. It's so hot.
I imagine. I mean, because that's latex. I mean, even though you have the hole for the eyes, the nose, or like you said, the breathe tube, that's still like walking into a sauna.
Oh yeah, and you hold, and what people don't know is you put them over your fist and you hold them because you don't want to lay them down. They get misfigured, and you don't. And they're yours, buddy. You don't walk off and leave them unless somebody really good that's going to watch them for you. I mean, you take them to the bathroom, you take them everywhere with you because you don't want to get charged with leaving a mask somewhere.
Oh, they charge you damaged?
Yeah. I mean, now natural damage is one thing, but if you leave them and you get lost or whatever, or somebody steals it, you're whew. But anyway, you put it over your fist and you hold your elbow up. Well, the sweat's just pouring off your elbow. and you don't think about your hand and arm sweating that much, but it's just dripping off. But so be it as the show goes on, But and a saloon scene I filmed last year it was in September, but the saloon was not air conditioned. Even if it was, you couldn't run it because the cameras sound and pick it up. But it's so hot in there, the cameras started shutting down, and we had to stop, put them in front of a fan, and let them cool off for 30 minutes, and then go back and film. And so that's all the little stuff behind the scenes people don't see.
Well, like we were saying with The Walking Dead, I got to ask for like the Western, because I imagine you're using practical effects for like gunfights and stuff. Like I forget what they're called, but the little like explosions for the packs.
We're using blanks and stuff like that. And I was in a movie where I first my own guns, and we stood out in the rain, and so that kind of did those in. They never fired again. They were cheap. But now let me back up. They weren't expensive guns, but they were cheap, so I had to order me some more. But those things happen. We got ready to shoot that afternoon on this movie I was on, and nothing had happened. My firing pins were froze up, and I ripped those guns, and I was the armorist. And I was ripping those guns apart, spraying lubricant all over them, trying to get them to shoot, and still this day they will not shoot. I mean, they froze up, and they're done.
Well, now. I was figuring for the special effects of like somebody being shot. You got the little explosions, test or whatever that shoot out the blood packs or whatever it is. I imagine the elements mess with those as well, whether the triggering of the explosion or just like the validity of the obviously fake blood that you use.
It would, and just the logs you put on, the sound equipment you're trying to tape to your body. You're so sweaty and hot. The first thing you know, the sound guy comes up and says, "We got to find your microphone." And it's down in your pants somewhere because your sweaty and it's come untaped and it just slid down, and we've got them try to get them pinned to stuff or whatever. When it's cold or the wind's blowing, you're trying to act warm. You can't talk like this, you're trying to be sure and act like you're warm. But I got to lay in some good cold mud one time on Fear of the Walking Dead and just laid. And, I was dead, so I wasn't moving. I could hear people walking off, but I wasn't going to move. And finally, some guy way on down the list came over and said, "Sir, you can get up now. We're done." And I stand up. Well, nobody around. I guess I really played that one part good.
Oscar worthy right there. Good dead.
Yeah. You don't want to raise your head, look around, and they say, cut, you never know where the cameras are. And so, but being on the other side of the camera, on the directing side, I'm loving that because a lot of people have asked me if I like that or acting, and I'm really I love both of them, but I think directing, because you get to paint the big picture. As an actor, you create that one part of the picture, and as a director, you create the whole picture. And so you get to put that. It's not you don't get as famous, except like the Coen brothers or something like that. John Ford, a few of those others. The actors are the ones that get the glory, but the director makes the actors. So
Well, no, you're absolutely right. And I've like I said in the first episode, I think the Western is I don't want to say a lost art, but if I were to put it in a musical sense, like in the music industry sense, I would say the West's kind of gone a little underground. You see everything that comes out nowadays. It's always science fiction, horror, or Fast and Furious style movies. There's a lot to be said about coming back with the Western, and like with guys like you who are trying to bring keep that genre alive.
And big demand internationally, big demand for Westerns. I can't get enough of them overseas. And of course, good ones in America go over really well. Like Tombstone and some of those others. And when you have a good movie go over, then all of a sudden there's several follow it, trying to imitate it. But the Western's always a Western, that a good Western. Now there's lots of sorry Westerns as there are sorry other movies too. But I told my lawyers, I said, do not let me put anything out, because once you put it out, it's there. And if it's not any good, I want them to be honest and say, hey, don't do that. And so we hadn't got to that point yet, but everybody, they seem to be loving. And you mentioned something a while ago. I I just got notified the other day that my newest script, I heard the quail whistle, which we can talk about here in a little bit. The next project, it made the cut in a New York screenplay contest.
Oh, wow.
And the judge says that she really does not like reading period pieces. Okay, but she loved this one, and so that kind of tells you a little bit about who's selecting the movies to be made. If it's people that really don't like period pieces, then you're not going to get it pitched to the right people. It goes on a shelf somewhere, and that's the end of that. So it's really got to do something to catch their attention to get past that stack. They got a stack of scripts, 3 foot tall. What makes it, different from all the rest of them? And so the only critique I had on it really was and I knew it was a rough copy. I just trying to get it in, and I've got to go back and clean it up some. And so that's what I'm going to start doing probably tomorrow, trying to clean up, take out some of the gaps, shorten it. It's 160 pages, and industry standards 120. So as I call it, a mammoth script, but they loved it. So hopefully it'll do better. I've got it entered in several others, and we'll keep entering it, and that always helps when you get ready to pitch.
When I look at your IMDb, and I know you not only are you a Western actor, director, writer, but you have a love affair for the Western genre.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at your IMDb, obviously you love the showdowns that you do, Brazos and all that. But you've also played like legitimate historical figures from the Wild West, like the 30 Seconds in Hell with Virgil Earp.
Yes,
it leads me.
Wait to do that. Can't wait to do that. And we're on hold again. We were packing to get ready to go to New Mexico to film that one. Shaved my beard off and had the mustache just like Virgil. Went to the barbershop, showed him a picture, and got all ready. And it got shut down to COVID, and so we're scheduled in September. And New Mexico just shut down the last few days, but he still says we're trying for September. But yeah, I can't wait to film that, and that's going to be so neat. Because last summer I got the tour where they filmed the movie Tombstone, and so if you like movies, you love going to those sets. And
Mm-hmm.
When I'd buy DVD movies, my wife said I always watch the boringest part first, which is how the movie is made and the sets and all that. That to me is the best part of the whole DVD. And or now YouTube, I'm always going on how they filmed this movie or that movie or where.
Right.
Open Range, they built that whole town just for the movie. It's unbelievable. It's the middle of nowhere. And, Kevin Costner said, I want to look 360 degrees and not see civilization. And so he found it up in Canada. So, but, and and there again, period pieces like that, you can't have high lines in there. You can't have chemtrails. We got to edit those out.
Right.
Can't have airplanes. And so it's finding places like that you don't have air conditioner in a window. It's pretty tough, but so far we've been able to do it. But I heard the quail whistle. I want to film it in New Mexico. I've got a couple places located and got some people looking for me out there. So I can't wait to go out there and sit down with them and really start meeting some of these folks and getting it all lined up so we can start pitching it for the next investors.
Well, the two questions that come from where I was leading with that, with the mention of the 30 Seconds in Hell, the two questions I had, one I was going with until you told me about looking forward to playing Virgil. Question number one for the Virgil Earp part is it a little nerve-wracking to follow? Really, we talk about Val Kilmer's performance in Tombstone or Kurt Russell's, but Sam Elliott as Virgil.
Yes. Yeah, it is. I guarantee you it is. But luckily, the script is so different. It's really a neat written script, and it's kind of like a dream sequence. And that's all I can say. It's really different. But yes, first thing when they cast me as Virgil, I was like, holy crap, I got to follow Sam Elliott. Any of those now, you'd have to follow. And actually, the author, he said, which one do you want? He actually offered me any of them, and I felt real honored there. And I said, hey, you wrote it, you see me work, you put me where you want to. There's certain things I will and will not say. I won't use the Lord's name in vain. I'll cuss a little bit, but not foul mouth, because my grandkids will see this movie. And
Right.
so he put me as Virgil Earp, and so still looking for that love scene.
Well, tell him if he's still looking for a Doc Holliday. I'm available. No, probably get big notification.
You ever see the Long Riders?
Yeah.
Back in the, you're a horror bell star. I'm looking for that scene.
But the other question I was going to ask is that when you do these movies, regardless of whether you write them, produce them, direct them, or even star in them, which ones are more appealing to you? Obviously, you love everything you do, but which one's more appealing? The fresh from your own imagination Western story, or the ones that are, to use your words, period pieces, which are based on actual characters from the Wild West days, be it Wild Bill Cody or the Earps and Doc Holliday, or so et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Which one's usually more appealing to you?
I'll answer this. I love them both, but the hardest ones are to portray what that other director sees. When you're being one of those characters, like when I'm Virgil Earp, I want to make sure that I can portray the character that my director wants to see, and so it really adds a big element. I can try to imitate Sammy Elliott, or I can try to imitate John Wayne, and I can strut and do all that kind of stuff. But but if that's not what the director wants, it doesn't matter. When I'm doing my own pieces, I pretty well know how I want that character to be, and so then it's a lot easier to be my own character, because I've written him, and I told my co-star Larry Welch, I said, when I wrote this, I really like your character better than mine, because he's the comedy, he's the comedy relief, and he fits it perfect, and that's why I gave him the role. And I said, when I wrote this thing, I really like Samuel character a lot better than mine, and mine I really don't like at times, which, if that makes sense. You drink. I apologize having to keep getting a drink because COVID biting my throat.
Oh no, that's absolutely fine. You got to definitely take care of yourself. But I mean, now let's get on to this new project that's going on. Obviously, we're looking forward to the Showdown at the Brazos when you're completed and get that out. Unfortunately, it's behind schedule because of the COVID crisis, but
Exactly.
once it gets back on track, definitely going to be checking that out. But this new one, this brand new one, you said the quail.
I heard the quail whistle.
Heard the quail whistle.
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about that without
too
much?
Without spelling too much. The title's a story of its own. How I got the title.
Okay.
I had a lot of different titles. Did not like any of them. I mean, usually a title kind of pops itself up in the middle of the story, and I'm like, oh, here it is, boom, boom. I tried everything, and I'd entered it in a pre-published contest where they won just the first 3 chapters of my work, and it got down to like 2 days before the deadline. I still didn't have a good title. I was going to send one in, but I didn't like it. I was outside feeding my horses, and it was evening and sun setting, and I heard a Bob White quail whistle in the distance, and I said, there's my title right there. Right there's the title. I heard the quail whistle, so I ran back in the house, had to add some stuff in there where the main characters hear quail whistling, and to tie it in. So that's why the title worked with the story. And then the contest ended up winning Best Fiction and Best Overall Book. So
nice.
So we kept the title, and everything else. We've Quail Whistle Productions now, Quail Whistle Vineyard. But on the movie, my wife challenged me to write this story. I'd written 3 or 4 novels. Was always, I write kind of like the old John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart era. The hero rides into town, doesn't want to be the hero, and really that's Greek mythology too.
Right.
Always ends up with the woman, or happy ending, or doesn't always happy ending, but try to anyway. Love story somewhere along the way to appeal to both sides. And she said, write a story with the woman as the hero, be a heroine.
Okay.
And so you can't turn down a challenge from your wife. You got to do that. So I sit down, and so that's a whole different twist of the Western, where there's instead of the John Wayne strutting through the streets, or Jimmy Stewart that doesn't want to be there, riding in on his horse, you've got a woman as a hero, and how she gets to be the hero is part of the adventure. She goes through a lot of challenges in life, and all in a short period of time. And it captures the movement west. Settling. It's based in Nebraska, and you move west and promise of land, free land. They came from Ireland, and they have a promise of free land, and her husband's bound and determined to have this farm. And so they veer off, and they're going to homestead land in Nebraska and live happily ever after. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And so goes to the story. And I didn't realize it when I wrote it, but when I transversed it from a manuscript into a script, screenplay, that the main character, Marshall Sage Cooper, he's an older Marshall, Robert Duvall type, Tommy Lee Jones, any of those big name stars, that they're trying to get him to retire, and he won't retire. And then the heroine, Molly O'Connor, redheaded, beautiful Maureen O'Hara type actress, they're in it through the whole thing pretty much. But everybody else, there's like 60-something speaking parts or something like that to be cast. We can get their parts done in 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
So we don't have to have the blacksmith there for 2 weeks, in and out, getting his part done. We can go in there and shoot his scenes with it all and get his done. He's out there. So it's really going to help on our budget. So when we get ready to start pitching this thing, it's really, if they say, okay, your budget for not your A-listers, but everybody else is $100,000. We can get a lot of actors in there for $100,000. Whereas if it's written another way, that $100,000 may be eaten up by 3 or 4 actors because you keep them there so long. And so I was really proud the way that came out. A lot of people saying, they're wanting to be in it, and I've not cast anybody, but there's some I want to be in there. And they're saying, well, how long, I said, well, we're going to be able to knock yours out in 3 or 4 days, So get your scene in and done with. But the main 2 actors, those 2 will be there for a while. So that worked out really well.
Well, with the character Molly, for people to know, like when you say she's the heroine, she's the main protagonist of the story. Is she gonna wind? Is it one of those types of stories? Again, no spoilers. So if I'm hitting territory you don't want to discuss yet, just stop me now. But is she going to be one of those characters where it's more of a dramatic type heroism, or is she really going to be going like guns blazing, for lack of a better term, Kill Bill style type woman at some point in this film, a full on gunslinger?
I'll put it this way: she starts out very soft, becomes very hard, and ends up very soft. How's that?
That works. Without jumping details in.
Without telling everything, and because she is a very, back then the wives were very strong, very strong-willed. They raised the family. They had all their chores and raised the kids too, and cook and clean. And the husband was, he was the leader of the family. And so they were very meek and mild as far as leadership goes, but yet they were so strong internally. And she has to become not only internally strong, then she has to come out of that and become outwardly strong, and then she can become a woman again, if that makes sense.
And of course, you made her a redheaded Irish woman, so I mean, it's
that red hair comes out.
I mean, that just goes hand in hand right there.
Right. And I drew from, I'm Irish, Polish descent, so I like to draw from some of my own when I'm doing research. And actually, when I wrote the manuscript, I looked up the Irish language and tried to incorporate. And Spellcheck really loves Irish colloquialisms. It picks them out. A wank of a man. It really doesn't like any of those, but you leave them in there because you want to sound like they're from Ireland, and they don't use contractions. And my wife, she's my editor, and she goes, "What's the deal with these people? They don't use contractions." I said, "Well, that's the way they talked. They were learning English, and so it was instead of it's I am not going to town instead of I'm not, instead of I ain't going to town. They didn't say it like that. It's kind of like on True Grit, the new one. I do not know that man instead of I don't know that man.
Right.
So they just talked different back then, and then we put our slang on it since then, but. They were new to the country and trying to learn the English language and the English ways. And again, follow that promise of free land. So
I'm imagining the character kind of being a spitfire, even in her
oh yeah,
in her meeker times, where like maybe she's, and I don't want to use this term because I don't want to offend people, but she may be meek to her husband, but anybody else she'll give the business to.
oh yeah, yeah, and that was the women back then. They knew, they knew that the husband was the leader of the family, I'm sure they just like now they told the husband what to do a lot, and but they didn't speak up a lot back then because anywhere, church, town, they didn't even have the right to vote back then just yet, and so but inwardly they're just super super strong people, and they were that drive that kept a lot of men going. As they moved their family across, a lot of people, as we say, saw the elephant and turned around and went back east. And so, but a lot of them didn't. And they had that woman there supporting them and pushing them and saying, let's move, let's go, let's go. Yes, we all have in our own lives now.
Well, with the with this film, obviously you're in the beginning stages. Everything's in pre-production, I guess is the correct term. Any realistic projection? I know it's hard with COVID and everything. Any realistic projection when you're going to be hopefully starting the film, or even more so when you hope to release?
I would love to start filming early spring. Hopefully we can. And I used to say I'm going to wrap up Showdown first before I start pitching this other with the quail whistle. But if COVID lifts, we're going to start pitching this one pretty quick, whether we get the other one wrapped immediately or not. And so it's going to happen real fast. Once they open the floodgates, it's going to happen real fast. But there's a few things we can do in preparation for that. They'll, maybe go to New Mexico and locate the sites, visit with my people out there. I've got some connections out there. And I need to do that just as far as working up a budget. And, I'm used to working with $10, $11 million budget in the school system. And that's not a really big budget, but it's more than heck of a lot more than what we spent on Showdown. And I can't, we self-funded that one, did not do any crowdfunding whatsoever, and there's a reason for that. But this next one has got to be investor funded, and there's some distribution companies that if we sign with them, they'll fund your next movie.
Right.
Sign like for 3 more movies if they like your first one. Here we sign this, we'll do the distribution, and we'll sign you up to direct 3 more or 2 more or whatever. And so we're really looking at that. And so hopefully that's the way we can go and get that, and if I can just get people in the room with me to sit down and listen, I can either talk their legs off, their ear drop, and they'll be begging me, yes, I'll give you money, just let me out of the room, or convince them one. It's the passion that we've got in the movie and being prepared to be able to pitch a good sound Western to them that they like. And maybe that's why I'm trying to get some awards on it right now, and it's full script and ready to go.
Will there be any crowdfunding, like a GoFundMe or anything like that?
I just don't believe in that for a couple of reasons. One, I don't believe in it. 2, I don't think distribution likes it. When you go to distribution, say, oh, we crowdfunded, $5,000 and we were able to do that. No, we sat down and we decided not to do that because we wanted to be able to go to distribution and say, this is what we produced on our own. Give us a budget and we can do even better. And, and there's a niche for good movies, but not 20, 30, $40 million movies,
Right.
$2 or $3 million to $5 million budget, make a great movie. You get you a couple of A-listers on there that brings the talent there. Just like Jeff Davis, he came and did Showdown with Brazos, and boy, as soon as he walks on set, everybody got better. And that, it's kind of like when Troy Aikman walks in there and you're playing flag football, everybody's gonna get better.
Well, being an Eagles fan, I can't necessarily agree with that.
My grandson would love you to death. He is an Eagle fan.
Well, I am for Philadelphia. I mean, you got to support your team.
Oh yeah. What do you think change the subject? What do you think the Redskins' new name's going to be? Hearing anything?
Don't care.
I hate them, so
yeah. Since they're in my division, I guess Target would be fine. the Washington Targets.
Yeah. I thought they were going to rename them today, but they just announced that they dropped all their logos and everything. So I was just curious to see if you heard anything. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see when you get a new franchise that changes their name in there. So Dallas Cowboys will be Cowboys from now on, though.
Well, I mean, it's not too far away from me. It's not too different from when the Houston Oilers went to Tennessee and became the Titans, but then Houston came out with a new team and called them the Texans. It's basically the Oilers. I don't know why they didn't just use the Oilers.
Yeah, trademarks and all that. But yeah, I love the Houston Oilers. Remember back when they played Pittsburgh 2 years in a row and Bum Phillips? Oh my gosh.
Warren Moon.
Yeah, Warren Moon flinging that ball around. Got Dan Pastorini. Wow. Earl Campbell. But no, I've been a Dallas Cowboy fan since Super Bowl V. That's the earliest I can remember. So that's been a few years back.
That's a few years back for Dallas Cowboy fans to understand. Of course, I respect the fact that you guys have, like, what was it, 5 Super Bowl rings, and of course the Eagles only have 1, but at least I can still watch my Super Bowl win on Blu-ray and not VHS.
Oh yeah, hey, y'all are kicking butt. I mean, when y'all kicked our butt last few years, great team. Wentz, great quarterback. He stay healthy, man. If you got a good quarterback, you in the front line, you can win a lot of games, get lucky, and go real deep sometimes.
Wentz is a good quarterback, but Philadelphia screwed itself, in my opinion, because Foles has proven himself twice in Philly, and both times has used him wrong. His first run in Philly, he was solid, and then they traded him off to go get I forget his name, but he was Bradford or whatever. Yeah. That guy was a joke. Then we brought him back as a backup quarterback, and while Philly was screaming the blues when Wentz went down that 2018 season, I said, look, Nick did some damage his first year in Philadelphia. Give him a chance. That boy not only took the team to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl, and as a backup quarterback won MVP. I told you this boy ain't no joke, and get rid of him again.
Yeah. You're talking about hard luck. Now he's had the hard luck syndrome. I mean, they just wow.
Give Opie a chance here, man. I swear to God, he looks like Napoleon Dynamite when he speaks. He really does. But you can't deny his talent.
Just long as he throw that football.
So as much as everybody banks on Carson Wentz here in Philly, I'm still, to me, it's like we were dumb to get rid of Foles.
Oh yeah, I was wondering but it's all money. It all comes down to money. They're paying Wentz the big bucks, and Foles was cheaper, and we're gonna keep the high draft pick.
So I mean, it is what it is. But hopefully I'm wrong about Wentz. But yeah.
If you remember, Dallas did the same thing. Drafted Troy Aikman, then brought Steve Walsh in the supplemental draft, and had a little controversy going. And they used to debate in Dallas, who was the better quarterback. And, it was Aikman all the way. But there was a lot of people that thought that Walsh was the better quarterback. And, of course, he went on to absolutely nothing.
This is from a guy who can't stand Dallas. I will say it to you straight out. As a guy that can't stand Dallas, and one of the things I used to root for was every single sack against this guy. Dallas's better quarterback, even today, sorry, Dak Prescott, has always been Troy Aikman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he is.
I know he did this one because I hated him so much. No, he was an excellent quarterback and slippery little devil, too.
Yeah. Him and Roger are the two best quarterbacks that's ever graced the Cowboys uniform. And, Romo was better than people gave him credit for. Romo just, pass here or there would have changed the whole – what was that one play against Green Bay? If we'd got the touchdown like it was really supposed to be, totally different ball game. We win the ball game, go to the Super Bowl. Then there's Romo. All of a sudden he's in there with the big boys. So one bad call.
But
bad calls – they always hurt you, but when it's a tough game, when every play counts like that one, just an offsides kills you.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. But what goes great with football? Like, we're sitting here talking football. What goes great with football? Alcohol.
There you go.
Like that segue. Besides the funding, going back to the funding that we were talking about, that you're talking about for your films and all that, and like you said, you self fund as well. A lot of, I imagine, the profits that come is the fact that you do run your own winery, your own vineyard.
Yeah.
Correct?
We're going to have our first crop this fall. Well, not this fall, as of here in the next couple of weeks. For some reason, we don't know why, but the grapes are ripening faster every year, and so we're about halfway ripe right now, and so we've ordered some bins, and we're going to make our first wine this fall. We've got a contract with a company that's going to bottle it. This will be a small crop, probably make 200 to 400 bottles of wine, something like that. And then we've got 7 acres, only 1 acre that's producing right now. Next year, there'll be 2 acres producing. And it's kind of stair-step like that. And it's all dry reds. We let the high plains up in West Texas grow the whites because they're harder to grow and they like the cool nights, which we don't have right now. We got hot nights, it'll get down in the 70s, but yeah, we started this. This was our retirement, the vineyard. We weren't doing movies. We weren't going to do the acting and all this, and this all kind of got sidetracked. But if it all stopped, right now we've had a blast with the winery. We were going to sell our grapes just as wholesale.
Right.
We've had such a demand for the wine, and we hadn't even made any yet, but everybody says, I want a bottle of the wine. And we said, I think we need to bottle it. There's a bigger profit in selling bottled wine than it is the grapes. And so that's the route we're going right now. Of course, we've got to go through the alcohol board and all that to get our license, but we're going to bottle this first crop, and then we'll eventually make something like 28,000 bottles of wine a year by the time it's all said and done. So hopefully people like a lot of wine.
So again, you did say it's a dry red. I'm ignorant when it comes to wine. I know wines that I like, but I'm not one of those connoisseurs that's like, oh, this is a Merlot or this is a Zinfandel or blah blah. Those are about the only 2 wine words I know. I had an ex-girlfriend. Her father was kind of a connoisseur, and he tried to teach me. He tried to teach me about like seeing the legs on the glass and how to sip it and find the palate taste for it. And I'm just like, can I just drink it? It's alcohol. Put it in a shot glass. I don't care. But
these would compare to Cabernet.
Okay.
Some be a little drier than Cabernet. And they're all different brands. They're all high end. We've got an advisor, and he advises very well. And so we've got high end grapes, a varietal. We call them varietals, high end varietals that make the high end grapes. And so it won't be the $10 bottle of wine because everybody makes Cabernet. There's some really good Cabernet. There's some really bad Cabernet. I bought a bottle from a grocery store, a $10 Cabernet one time. It's some of the best I've ever had. Then I bought some $40 bottle of Cabernet and had to pour it out, so you don't ever know. But these wines we're going to produce some of them will be even drier than Cabernet. We have a Mourvedre, we have a Tannat, and we've got a new one called Suzal. I really don't know what it's going to be dried. I've never tasted it. Aglianico tastes a whole lot like Cabernet, so we've got an acre of it. And then we've got a Petit Verdot. It's a little bit sweeter. In the old country, all of those were standalone wines, but then we bring them to Texas and America, and we start mixing them together and have mixed reds. But we right now we're planning on leaving them all just like the old country.
Well, the 2 questions I've got to ask, and of course I've got an industrial question later, but the 2 questions I got to ask, one is kind of a more statement than a question, but just for clarification purposes, this is going to be your own label. This isn't going to be released under, for lack of a better term here. It's not going to be like Boone's Presents or something like that.
It's Quail Whistle Vineyards. Quail Whistle wine.
And is this going to be nationwide, or is it just going to be exclusive to Texas for now?
I hope it goes nationwide, especially when we have that many when we're in full production. Of course, we'll be selling it. Of course, on the internet, you can ship it anywhere in America or anywhere like that. And
right.
We'll be selling it, and we're actually developing a label right now. But yeah, it's Quail Whistle Vineyards, and we're getting a slogan together, and it's going to be something like there's nothing more relaxing than hearing a quail call in the evening and a glass of red wine. So
I could already see the commercials. Sorry, it's worse whistle when I got cotton mouth, but
Yeah, you hear that? And we're actually going to try to put on the label somewhere where you can put your phone up there and hear the quail whistle. How you can scan it and it'll play a quail whistle for you. So a lot of people may not know what a quail sounds like, and so they'll be able to do that. And so we're trying a little different twist there, and we've got some people we're trying to get some actresses lined up, and we've got some really big names. Just a matter of pulling the trigger when we get to that point.
Well, the industrial question that I have that I've got to ask on this, because again, it may be my ignorance. Some of the listeners listening right now, it's like when they hear this question, they may be like, "Are you an idiot?" So forgive me if this comes off as a little.
I'm an idiot.
If it comes off as a little dumb, but like you named a lot of different types of wines that you're hoping to pull from these grapes. Like how do you change the differences? Is it in the distillery? Is it in the grape used? Is it the how you crush the grape, whether it be industrialized through machinery or the old-fashioned jumping into the tub with feet? Like how do you produce different style wines out of
basically all the above? Each variety has its own flavor. And then let's say it's a Tannat that we're going to harvest this year. Our Tannat will taste different than somebody's from Central Texas just because of different soil, different water. It'll have a different variation on that. Then you could, if we wanted to mix another wine in there, say 75% Tannat, 25% Cabernet, that's going to change the flavor, the outcome. You can mix them like that. Okay. You can bring in different wines that maybe 75% Cabernet, 25% Tannat, and try to ease up the palate a little bit because it may be too dry for some. The drier the better for me, but to appeal to everybody, you may want to bring that dryness down just a little bit and bring it a little sweeter. But there's a grape called Tempranillo that actually tastes like there's black pepper in the wine. It's delicious. A good Tempranillo is my favorite. It says, "Where's my steak?" You drink a little bit of it and you say, "Where's the steak? I got to have a barbecue steak somewhere." But now, good glass of wine. I've learned I never drank wine until we started looking into it, and then we started learning how. Like you said, your girlfriend's dad was showing you. There's a lot to learn, but yeah. You leave the peelings in there longer, makes it a little more tannic, which makes it a little more drier. The actual peelings or the skin is that what gives the wine the color. If all but one wine is very clear on the inside, but there's one wine that is red throughout. The grape is, but we're looking forward to getting it bottled and seeing these 3 or 4 years of work going to come together. Like my wife said, I'm ready to see something coming in rather than going out.
So you're releasing that this year, like you're setting up the
bottle next year. We're going to harvest here next couple of weeks, and it'll ripen for a year in the barrels, and then this time next year we'll be holding up a bottle of quail whistle Tannat and advertising it then.
Oh, right on.
Having a party.
Right on. Well, that's why I was going to ask, is if there any way for people to get information about your wine, like obviously if we want to send them to your films, we send them to like Showdown at the Brazos or .com or whatever else. Is there anything for the Quail Whistle wine vineyard for people?
Not right now, but there would have been if I hadn't got sick. Like I said, I've been down for 2 weeks, and we just really kicked it off a couple of weeks ago, what we're going to do. And so we're in the process of getting whether it's going to be a Facebook or web page built where people can go in there and see our story. And I'm thinking it's going to be just a link on Facebook that'll go to the web page, but we'll get that done pretty quick because everybody's going to be wanting to know. Because like I said, a good friend of mine said she has like 40 friends. They get together and drink wine every week. That's 40 bottles. You think 500 bottles is a lot until you start saying, okay, 40 goes that way, 50 goes this way, one goes to you, one goes, and all of a sudden you're like, I need to save a little bit for myself.
Right. I get to keep one bottle, right?
yeah, that's right.
Well, Bill, again, this has been an absolute pleasure. I've
Thank you.
really enjoyed having you here. Again, why don't you remind everybody who's been here before where they can reach out to you if they have any questions, whether it be for the winery or the films, or if they want to get more information on the films or anything of that nature. You know, whether it be like an email account or, like I said, a website address, something like.
You can always go to my Facebook and messenger me there. If we're not friends, give me a little bit. I'll find that request later as far as messenger requests, and that's the quickest way. If you got really questions, I try to answer all of them.
Right.
Also, go to my Facebook. We post pictures. That's where we post casting calls. We've got a Showdown on the Brazos Facebook page where we put pictures behind the scenes on there, and so that's a good place. Or just go to IMDb and look at both those there. And soon we'll have one. I heard the quail whistle started soon too. So hopefully we'll just keep that push going.
Right on. And keep an eye out for that one, because off air, I'm going to be pestering Bill to let me be the drunk uncle that just follows. He's the guy that's
You'll learn how to drink wine. If it's bad, I'll tell you it's good, and you won't know any different.
There you go. I'll be the drunk uncle hiding behind the rain barrels with a bottle of the Whistling Quail vineyard.
Quail whistle wine.
Quail whistle wine vineyard bottle right in my hand. That's cheap promotion right there.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It's been an absolute blast. And when you're finally done with Brazos and you're into quail, of course, I'm going to have you back. So we've got to talk.
I can't wait.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Good one. And guys, I will catch you on the next Breaking the Fourth Wall. Have a good night. Hey guys, it's Chris from Realm of the Mist Entertainment. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out all the other great podcasts that can be found on Realm of the Mist Entertainment's YouTube channel or our sister channel, Sounds Dicey Gaming, for all your tabletop needs. And if you prefer your podcast in audio-only format, check out Realm of the Mist Entertainment on Anchor.fm, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, or wherever quality podcasts can be heard. To our Patreon supporters, we thank you very, very much. And if you're interested in being a Patreon supporter, please go over to patreon.com/Realm of the Mist, and just $1 a month gives you exclusive content and helps our channel out greatly. Guys, again, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode.